gentlemen, start your engine!
Hello and welcome to the second round of the Honda Racing Simulator Championship here from Malaysia. So we already had the first race of the season a couple of weeks ago, and we're now here for round number 2. And we obviously like to thank Honda Prospect Motor and HM Engineering for organising this event and giving these drivers an awesome opportunity. This is a full Indonesian driver championship, giving people from Indonesia the chance to get to some proper high-level international spec racing, and it's going to be a pretty awesome race. And as always, we've got the amateur and the pro category, which was decided by the pre-qualification a few weeks ago, well, about a month ago now, before the first race. And then the top 30 drivers were in the pro race, and then the next 30 were in the amateur race. So that's what we have here today. We've got a 20-minute and a 40-minute race. And me, Cameron Roger, taking you through this alongside me today is Felix van Delft.
Yeah, hi Cameron. I'm looking forward to this one today. Of course, we've seen 2 great races already last time around in Japan. And let's hope we will see 2 great races here again at the Malaysia International Circuit. Of course, it's a bit different to what we had last time around in Japan. 2 very long straights, of course, especially for these cars that are relatively small, and I wouldn't say the quickest cars that racing offers, but of course still very much fun to drive for the drivers and gives great spectacle for us as viewers as well.
They certainly do, and we've effectively had 2 races with this car already, because we did have the test race 1 week before the first race of the season, so the drivers have had quite a while to get used to this car. However, they've only had 2 weeks to get used to the Malaysia track, whereas in Matsusaka last time out, they had 3 weeks total of doing that track, including 2 races. And then we have the next race next week as well in Silverstone. So the drivers now need to, as the season progressing, the drivers now need to get used to the tracks a little bit quicker. They don't have quite so long just to do lap after lap in practice. They really need to get the pace going. And I'm sure we're going to see that as we get into the qualifying session for the amateur drivers just in the background here as well.
Yeah, let's see if we can get a look at some of the drivers that are on the track right now. Of course, most of the drivers just have started their out laps, so they will be getting into their hot laps pretty soon, I believe. As we here see Audi Devanugraha starting his first hot lap of the day.
And this is quite a tricky track. It's shorter than Matsusaka, but it's actually slower in lap time as well, because there's a lot more tricky, awkward corners, and this is the first section. Turn 1 and 2, 2 hairpins back to back. You've really got to make sure you get your line sorted, especially into this turn 2. You can see loads of steering input being put in there as they then come out through turn number 3. This should be easily flat out. It's more of a kink, but then you work your way into Sector 2 as we finish Sector 1 just about now at the 150 meter board. Once again, braking really hard, and you've got to be careful because these curbs are huge. You can see that getting on 2 wheels going all over the curbs, and then you come up around the fast corners of 5 and 6, trying to keep it almost flat out through these 2. You have to do a little bit of a lift, smoking those tires. You really push to the limit before you come up to this double right-hander, which is very important, although actually he's backed out of that lap, so we'll have to get a run around the track with someone else. So here it's Saputra out of that double right-hander, coming down into this very tricky hairpin. You have to brake a little bit earlier than you think because it is so tight, and you want to get sort of in the middle of the track to keep it flat out through these kinks of turn 9 and 10 before you work your way into Sector 3 now. And the corners do not stop because you've got a fast left-hander that works its way into the penultimate corner, which is so tricky as you have to brake and turn at the same time. and try and get a bit of a line that isn't too awkward as you work your way out onto the 1 kilometer long back straight. And all you can do is sit and look at your delta time, hoping that you're going to be doing a good lap. But spot your braking point, because you've got to brake really hard once again for the final corner, and you don't want to lose all the time that you've gained through the lap. Yeah, a little bit of a late apex and then work out onto the start finish straight for another time. And once again, it's actually a pretty long run to the line, so you might see some overtakes on the final lap of the race, as we saw last time out. And then Saputra does a 2:09.7.
Yeah, not the quickest as of so far. Our apologies, the exact times don't show as for now, but we'll have the exact times at the end of the session. So the moment quickest on the track is Rian Adesaputra. He did a 2 minute 8.294, so about 2/10 quicker than Alfondani, who's right behind it, and Rio Low also not too far behind that. So already showing to be pretty close throughout the entire field here, as Saputra already goes out of the pits to start the next outlap and get himself ready for his next qualifying attempt.
And as with the previous races we've had so far, this is a private qualifying session, which means each driver has the track completely to themselves. They can't see and they're not affected by the other cars. That obviously helps with things such as blue flags as well. So everyone should get 2, maybe, well, probably actually 3 flying laps during the session. As we now see Shaquille come to the line to go to 8th position as well. So yeah, there's a little bit of a gap forming, but we saw this actually last time out at Matsusaka as well. There was that sort of top 5 or 6 who were the really fast guys, and there was a little bit of a jump further down. So as you said, at the moment the gap per pole is 2/10, but already 1 second is to 8th place on the grid.
So here we see Enrico Chiesa coming through the second sector there. Now we'll be coming into the third sector of this track. Like we said, it's a tricky part of the track. It's a lot of flowing corners. You need to set yourself up. If you make a mistake in one of the corners, you're gonna end up in a wrong position for the entry of the next corner. As you can see here, Chiesa going a little bit wide into the corner there. Now it is fast left-right, and then braking whilst you are turning a very long right-hand. They're coming onto that back straight. Very important to try to keep the momentum in the car, but of course you also need to make sure you don't go too wide, because you end up in a wall there on the left side. Just looking decent so far. Now braking for the final corner, this last hairpin. Very tight. So I think it's going to be the main spot for overtakes next to turns 1 and 4 on this track. Here we go, coming to the line. What's Chiesa able to do? 2 minute 10.89, putting himself up to 18th as of now.
Yeah, 30 drivers on the grid. Good to see we've got a full grid, because that is the maximum grid size. So as mentioned from the pre-qualifying that we had back in June, the numbers 31 to 60 of those times are who we have on the grid here today. And then later on when we get to the pro race, there will be the top 30, the fastest guys. However, the AM category has given us some really good racing so far, and even last time the race was won on the very final lap, in fact in the final chicane. So all sorts of things can happen, and the qualifying is obviously where you start that, as we now see Danny currently second place, 2/10 off the pole position, but he's actually, as you see there on the bottom right, he's just about 3/10 down in that first sector. So he's got to do some good work in this next part of the track to try and get back, as he uses all the exit tarmac there coming down into the hairpin. Spot your braking zone, braking well after the 100-meter board and sliding that rear end in. Obviously this is a front wheel drive car in this Honda Civic, so you've really got to balance that rear end, as there's little amount of weight over the rear, and you really want to keep it going well. But look at that middle sector, he's made up some time, and he's now 2/10 quicker in that middle sector, doing a purple, which means fastest of anyone. And he's now only got 2 corners left to go, but these are 2 of the trickiest corners on the track. You don't want to throw it all away here, as he now works out onto the back straight, where they will get up to pretty much the top speed of this car, as he accelerates up into 6th gear. And then once again, spotting your braking zone as late as you dare, where you work your way into the final corner. You can see there getting a late apex for a better exit. And what is he going to do up in the middle sector? Has he made up that time that he lost? Can he get the provisional pole position, or where is he going to go? No, he stays in 2nd place for now.
Yolo had a great first sector. Middle sector just a little bit slower than what Rian Advisaputra is able to do. Let's see the last sector though. It's going to be important for Lo. Coming to the line, he's going to take the shortest line possible. And it is not enough, even for 2nd.
And Advisaputra is on a lap, I believe, as well. On a couple of personal bests, so he might be extending as we see Eric Chandra come around the corner. Look at those sector times there, looking pretty good. Can he get himself up into the top 5 or so? Yes, 4th position for Eric Chandra. Good job from him. And now Advisaputra, 2 purple sectors. What is he going to do to improve his time? No, he lost it all in that final sector by a couple of tenths, so he's actually not improved, but he is still on that pole position at the moment.
Shaquille now coming into the final corner. Shaquille, one of the drivers that showed he had the pace in Japan. The race didn't really go his way though. Now let's see what he's able to do in qualifying in Malaysia. Coming to the line now, no improvement, stays in P12 for now.
Now lots of drivers once again going out on their next outlap, so I believe everyone will get 3 hot laps in, because there's still enough time to do 1 more lap. I don't think anyone will be able to get a 4th lap in, as there won't be enough time to get back around again to start another lap. So most of these drivers now have had 2 laps, and this 3rd one is the all-important one, as obviously the track gets more and more grip as the cars drive, and as you can see right on the racing line it gets a bit darker. That's where the rubber's going down, where the drivers are driving, as we're now seeing Devon Agraha come round. Remember, he had to abort on that 1st lap, which is why he's slightly out of sync with everyone else. Bit down in that 1st sector, and just after this hairpin we will get the next sector to see if he is doing any better. He is currently 6, almost 7 tenths off the pole position. However, if he only improves by a couple of, not even a couple of tenths, about a tenth and a half, he will go up into 5th place. However, he is currently down on his times.
Yeah, about 2.5 to 3 tenths slower than his personal best at the moment. So let's see what he's able to do in his final sector. A lot of steering look put in there to try and keep the car pointed in the right direction. Struggling on the braking here for this long right-hander coming onto the back straight. Now full throttle down this back straight. Of course, a very long one. I said it before. Some time to think, some time to look at your delta time as you come to the braking zone for the final corner, just at the 100-meter board. Hard on to the brakes, and then back again onto the throttle to come out over the final corner. Slight touch of the outside curb there, and Devon Agraha decides, nope, this is not going to be the lap for me, and he aborts that one.
I wonder if he was trying to abort it to get out quickly, because there's only just gone 2 minutes left, but I think he was too late to get around, because remember, as long as you start your lap within the allocated time, then you're allowed to finish it. So even if you start your hot lap with 1 second to go, that will still count, and you'll be able to finish that lap. As we now see Don Dokambe come around, and once again he's backing out as well, so that will be him not setting any quicker time, so he will have to stay in 6th position, as now Danny comes down to finish sector 2. You can see the rear left wheel unloading as the chassis flexes into the hairpin. It's quite a unique experience with that front wheel drive, and is now slightly down again in that middle sector. But if he can improve by just a little bit, that could help his chances to stay in that 2nd place as well, as we're coming up to just 1 minute to go in the quali session.
Into the long right-hander, Alphen Denny comes. This last sector is going to be very important for him. It's quite far down in the second sector though, so I'm not sure if you'll be able to make that up, but it looked clean so far through that flowing section and the long right-hander. Now this final corner is going to be very important for Danny. Braking hard. Misses the inside apex slightly, but perhaps taking a little bit more momentum through the corner. Try to take the speed out of it. To the line he comes. And what's it going to be? 2 minute 9.2, so even about 7/10 slower than his personal best. So that's not going to happen. Rian Lowe though is fastest of everyone in the first sector. He might be on for a good lap here.
You might be, but as we've seen, it's so easy to lose time as you come to this second half of the lap where there's all these tricky, tight corners. And what's he going to do as he comes across the line? Yeah, he's lost a little bit in that middle sector. However, he could still improve potentially up into second place, which would still be an improvement as we now see the checkered flag on the top left, which means you are not allowed to start another lap. However, you can finish the one you're on. Oh, Loho goes all over that curb. Gets it on two wheels, as can happen in this car if you send it too hard over an inside curb like that. I have to see if that loses him any time, as he now works his way out down the back straight. Adesaputri is also on a lap, slightly slower in the first sector, but slightly quicker in the second sector. So this could be a slight improvement from Adesaputri as well. So now see Loho around the final corner with those discs glowing hot. As he comes to the line, can he get himself on the front row of the grid? What can he do? No, he's going to stay in third place, and that is his chance for pole position gone. So it looks like Adesaputri is going to be getting that pole position by just about 0.2 of a second as Shaquille goes into 12th place. There's only a couple more drivers out on track.
I think nobody's actually on a flying lap. Most of these drivers just on their out laps, and they won't be allowed to start another hot lap because the timer ran out. As we see Pranata indeed slowing down the car. I think that is the end of this qualifying session, and a great qualifying session it was.
Yes, certainly. Adesaputri showing that he's got some speed here in Malaysia, as you can now see the exact times on your screen. Almost 0.2 of a second, which is a pretty decent gap that he's got there to Alpha and Danny. But then Rio Loho not too far behind either. But then look at the times just behind him. Herdamo in fourth place, only a few thousandths behind, and Chandra also close, and Dika as well. So I think we're looking at a very close championship here as we get to the second race of the season.
Yes, indeed. Great to see the times so close to each other in qualifying, especially in the midfield. It's gonna get spicy, I think, during the race. Like we've said already before, there's quite some overtaking spots here in this Malaysia circuit. So I'm sure the drivers will give us a little bit of a show later on.
Yeah, they certainly will. And just to make you aware, Loho is actually leading the championship, so he's down there in third place. So he needs to make a little bit of a increase. However, the person second in the championship is Devanu Graha, who's down in 9th place. So Loho has got a big jump, at least for the start of the race, on Devanu Graha as well. And in 20 minutes, that's going to be quite difficult to overtake all those people. So he's got a little bit of work there to do. So yeah, we will take a quick break, and then when we get back, we will run you through the proceedings for today's amateur race.
The power of dreams. I am the front man who drives. My power keeps me ahead in the front line. My reputation gets me on the front page. This is how I drive superiority. by being in the front row. New Honda Civic Turbo.
Right back to round number 2 of the Honda Racing Simulator Championship, brought to you by HM Engineering and Honda Prospect Motor as well. So as we've just seen, the qualifying session has happened for the amateur division. So we've got a 20-minute race coming up for these guys, and then followed by that we will then have the pro guys come out, the fastest guys in Indonesia, who will be having their qualifying session followed by a slightly longer 40-minute race. These are obviously 2 separate championships with their own separate prizes as well. So the prizes to be won are actually fairly significant. So thank you to the sponsors for the prizes. The winner of the amateur division will be getting 5 million rupees plus a trophy, and then that goes down to 4 million, 3 million, 2 million, and then 1 million, down to 5th place in the standings at the end of it. And we do have a 6-race season, so plenty of time for things to happen. Next week, I should say, we go to Silverstone, then followed by Sao Paulo in Brazil, then Zandvoort in the Netherlands, and then we go to Portugal for the final race of the season on the 29th of August. So it's a fairly quick championship in terms of the weeks. So you need to make sure that each of these races count. And someone who didn't quite make that count in the qualifying session was Davide Graha, qualifying down in 9th place despite being 2nd in the championship. And I think Felix, that is going to give Loho a pretty good boost as he goes into this 2nd race.
Yeah, definitely will. Of course, the points are distributed in the race, not in qualifying. So Loho still needs to do a good race here today, but he's definitely in a good position. And if he continues on where he ended up in qualifying, he'll be able to get a good jump onto his rivals there.
Absolutely, and the championship is obviously reflecting the finishing order of the first race. So Loho is leading the way with 25 points, followed by Davide Graha with 20 points. Then we've got Danny in 3rd, Saputra in 4th, and Herdamo in 5th position. So they are sort of the guys that we're looking out for. And interestingly, they were also the ones nearer the front of the race again today. So they certainly look like the ones who can certainly benefit from today. As starting at the front is always where you want to do. A 20-minute race means we're going to get roughly 9, maybe 10 laps of the race, which means there isn't that long to try and make an overtake. So you really need to try and do your best to make an overtake if you are in a position to do so.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've talked a little bit about it already. Main overtaking spots, turn 1, of course, it's a bit of a long right-hander, so turn 2 might also be a possibility if you can put your car around the outside and keep it there throughout the first corner. Then, of course, you have turn 4, quite a hard braking zone where you can put the car on the inside, but you have to get to move, otherwise in the next corner you're going to be on the wrong side of the track. Then, of course, you also have the hairpin at the end of sector 2. I guess that's also a good opportunity for overtaking. And then, of course, the final corner, the long hairpin. But of course, if you make an overtake there, you're going to have to defend coming into turn 1, because the driver behind you will then have the slipstream all the way down the start-finish straight.
Yes, as in the start-finish straight is also preceded by the back straight as well. Both are about 1 kilometer long, so you get a massive slipstream into the final corner, then you get a massive slipstream again down into turn number 1. So those are going to be some of the better places, and hopefully, especially on lap number 1 when the cars are really close together, everyone takes into account that this track does have some tricky and quite tight corners actually, and hopefully no one makes too many accidents in the race, because it would be good to get all 30 drivers to the end of the race. And last time out in the amateur division, we only had 2 DNFs, so that is that's pretty good, I would say. So it would be nice to get all 30 drivers to the finish of the race. And obviously, with it being a 20-minute race as well, it's unlikely to see any sort of pit stops or anything. So it's all about getting your position on the track at the best time that you can.
Yes, as we are coming to the end of this warm-up session, so drivers will be getting themselves ready to start this race. Of course, we'll also have a formation lap before we get going here in the race. That will take 20 minutes, so I'm guessing it's around 9 laps around this track. Roughly maybe 8.
Yeah, we just the lap time is similar to Matsusaka. We just got 10 laps actually in Matsusaka, so we'll see. But yeah, it's going to be, I would say, either 9 or 10 laps, depending on the pace, because obviously it is a timed race, which means the race finishes as soon as the leader crosses the line. Once the timer goes to 0, but obviously if you cross the line with even 2 seconds to go, that means you have to do a full extra lap. So it can get a little bit close with that. Sometimes you do see the leader actually slowing down if they have a bit of a gap to make sure they don't do an extra lap. And even we have seen people, I think it was in a test race, run out of fuel because they didn't allocate for it to be a 10-lap race. They thought it was going to be 9 laps. But in Matsusaka, we did get a 10-lap race, so that is give or take what we're going to see today, with it being a similar lap length. But here on the screen is the qualifying order, and that is how they will start the race. So we've got Adi Saputra on the pole position for the second race of the Honda Racing Simulator Championship division, followed by Alfred Dani in third, Rio Loho in third, Dani is in second place, Hadamo is in fourth, Eric Chandra is in fifth, Andika is in sixth, Don Dokambe is in seventh, Saputra is in eighth, Devani Graha in ninth, and Sathya is in 10th.
Yeah, then continuing in 11th, we've got Kurtubi. Sorry if you mispronounce any of these names. You have to take our apologies for that. 12th, we've got Shakil. 13th, Pasanta. 14th, Chiesa. 15th, Shabab. 16th, Levi. 17th, Matthew. 18th, we've got Sena. 19th, Surario. And in 20th, Nicolas Argo. And then rounding off the final positions of this grid, 21st, Jody Pranata, 22nd, Rio Ahmad, 23rd, Rifki Afiat, 24th, Mohamed Hari, 25th, Muammar, 26th, Ari, 27th, Nugroho, 28th, Viranvan, and 29th, Prabowo, and 30th, closing off the grid, carrying the red lantern to the grid, it is Ignatius Mokodompit.
And just for some reference, you could see there the picture of their car, so you can get a rough idea of the colours. The drivers should be in the same cars every time, assuming they select the correct one when they enter the server. And that the number actually reflects where they were in the pre-qualification, so that gives you a rough idea. As we've actually had Rifki Afiat drop out of the race on the formation. He has left the server, so that is pretty much confirmed. He will not be making the start of the race. Actually, we actually have a bit of a crash towards the back. I saw someone, trying to see actually who that was. Pretty sure I saw someone go into the wall on the back straights. There might be a couple of drivers starting the race with a little bit of damage actually, as they now come around the final corner. Hopefully everyone's got their tyres and brakes up to a reasonable operating temperature as the final guys come around now. And someone is actually a little bit out of position. I think it's Mokodompit is actually having a couple of issues towards the back, so hopefully he's able to start the race as the lights in a second will come on. and then we'll be racing for 20 minutes for the second race of the season in the amateur division. And here come the lights. 5 of them will illuminate, and once they go out, we are racing for 20 minutes here in Malaysia. They go out, so let's see who has got a good start. I tell you who has got a good start. It's Danny in second place. He's going to be challenging down into turn number 1. As it's quite a long run now down to turn number 1 before you hit the brakes. And yes, it looks like Danny's going to be able to take the lead on the inside if he can get it all slowed down nicely, which he can, as a Hadamo now is actually trying to battle Addis Putra as well for second place, with Chandra up into 4th. Loho has already dropped down into 6th place. He's dropped down 3 from his starting position as they work their way out towards the end of Sector 1 already. And Danny has got the lead from Addis Putra. Have a look a little bit further back. There is Devani Graha has dropped down into 25th place. Mokadompe is already out, but Devani Graha has had some issues there in that first sector, dropped down heavily. That's going to really hinder his chances to get some good points today. His points only go down into 15th place as they will now file their way through turn number 6, and it's actually seemingly going pretty well for all these drivers so far, but a couple of drivers have dropped off at the back.
Yeah, we're on board with Jason Siputra. The driver in front of him, Rio Loho, going a little bit wide. Loho, not the best start, not the start that he would have wanted. All the way down in 7th. Siputra almost locks the brake, or he does lock the brake and almost runs into the back of Loho there. Is able to catch the car luckily, but he's definitely struggling to keep control of his car there a little bit.
Yeah, this is certainly a pretty difficult car to control, especially at this point in the race where the tyres and the brakes and everything won't be quite up to the peak operating temperatures as they now work their way into the corner. As you can see there, Siputra is struggling a little bit on the brakes as we now see how big this slipstream is down into the final corner, as Shakil is having to defend as well, coming down the the back straight. As all the drivers then work their way into the final corner to finish lap number 1 here. And then let's see who's going to be on top as we come down towards turn number 1. Seems Danny might actually be having a bit of a look for the lead, and Eric Chandra coming down the inside for 3rd place as well. And I think Eric's actually made that. Can he keep it on the brakes? Might be a little bit of contact there as they come into the apex. And Eric, I think, has made that work, so that's going to be him up into 3rd place. That is a good start from him. He's already made up 3 places from his starting position, as Loho's still down in 6th place. He hasn't been able to make anything work either, as now Chandra's all over the back of Addis Putra for 2nd place as they work their way towards turn number 4 as well. Can he make it on the brakes? Not quite. So Addis Putra manages to defend that one, at least for now.
Yeah, very tight battling here in the 2nd lap. That slipstream down the back and the main straights definitely got some drivers into positions that they at least tried an overtake coming into that first corner. And let's see what they will do in the rest of this lap. Still very, very close throughout the entire top 10.
Yeah, they stayed really close, and the battling is still going even into 4th place at the moment. That is Chandra and Herdamo, and actually Andika's on Herdamo now as we come out into the start of Sector 3. Who's going to come out on top of this one? I think Herdamo actually had a bit of a better line there as they now work their way through turn number 10, I believe that is, as they now come through this really fast section, which is not really where you want to overtake. However, this corner after it is, because you can take a million different lines through here, as Andika's thinking about it coming into the final corner, as Chandra actually got a bit held up there. So this is going to cause all sorts of issues for these guys as they try and work their way now down onto the back straight. They're moving all over the place, trying to get a bit of position for themselves. I think that's Loho getting involved with Andika as well, as Loho had a bit of a lock up there. He went the wrong way and he's hit the back of someone else. Eric Chandra, I think he hit the back of. So Chandra's dropped down into 12th place. Loho down into 10th. Remember, Loho is your championship leader. And Chandra there making a good start the first couple of laps. So that has really changed the order towards the front of this race as Saputra moves up into 4th place.
Yeah, a bit of a bummer for Loho there. Didn't have the best start already, and now also with an incident dropping down further down the field in 9th right now. Still not the end of the world. There's still 15 minutes to go in this race, of course, but not going the way that he wants it to go so far.
Yeah, Loho there. He went down the inside of, I believe, 2 other cars into the final corner and seemingly locked up. And I'm pretty sure he was the one who had contact with Chandra, which is why Chandra went off as well, which is a bit of a shame because Eric had such a good start there. He was in really, really good position. And that has just helped people such as Herdamo. Herdamo is now into 3rd place, Saputra in 4th, and Andika in 5th place. So those guys have been gifted a couple of positions there. So now Andika's all over the back of Saputra. You can dive it down into this hairpin as I think he's going to try that down into the apex. Can he make it stop? Yes, he can. But he's actually been switched back there by Saputra, who saw that one coming. And Andika's actually lost probably best part of a second there, actually, with how he had to unlock the tyre and take a bit of a wide line. So this top lots are starting to spread out just a little bit as they start making some crazy moves like that. But Danny's not getting away at the front, that is for sure. And they actually might be under threat here from Saputra now, side by side, down the start, the back straight. And Danny's in the blue, Danny is in the red car on the inside, Saputra in the blue car on the outside. Can he make it work around the outside? They've got to be careful as Herdamo is trying to get involved as well. As they're still side by side out of the final corner. And that's going to give Saputra the lead as he will have the inside down into turn number 1. So Danny has now lost the lead again. Going towards turn number 1 to start lap number 4 of the race. Can Herdamo get it down the inside? No, not quite.
Very tight racing here. As we've seen changes of position throughout the entire field all the time. It's great to see this many battles on track. Of course, we try to cover as many of them, but it's impossible to look at 2 points of the track at the same time, so we have to excuse
Oh,
us
sorry,
for that.
big crash for Loho. In behind these guys, big crash for Loho. Must have had some contact there coming towards the braking zone. Hopefully no one hits him. He's right in the middle of the braking zone. That is very dangerous. Oh, someone did collect him. I think that was Colin Louis in 16th place now. The blue car managed to, or couldn't manage to avoid him. Chaser also went off the road at turn 4, so that is some big crash there at the end of sector 1 on lap number 4. And Loho's not got a rear wing, so he's going to have to come in for some damage repairs as well. And this is going to turn the championship on its head with the 2 guys battling at the front, Devanu Graha and Loho, all out of the points at the moment.
Yeah, Loho's day has gone from bad to worse, really. Momokambe is also battling with Kurtubi in front of him. I think Kurtubi got passed there into the 3rd sector hairpin, or 2nd sector hairpin, I should say. Let's see what the drivers will be able to do coming onto the back straight in just a little bit. Alphon Denny will be trying to get past Saputra once again. We see Momokambe trying to make a move on the inside there. Kurtubi didn't have the best exit coming into the back straight. Allows Momokambe to get alongside into the final corner. Braking is going to be very important for these 2 drivers now. A little bit of a touch there as they come into the final corner now. Chandra behind him is also starting to smell some blood and see if he can take any opportunity if these drivers in front of him battle a little bit too hard and lose time because of that. Back at the front, Saputra is also still battling with Herdamo and Danny in front of him.
A lot of these drivers are locking up quite a bit more than we saw in Matsusaka last time, so I think just due to the nature of this track, it's a very bumpy track, especially in the braking zones. It's really difficult, and there is ABS enabled in this car, so the drivers can use it, and most of them do, to my knowledge. So that does help them a little bit. But even then, if you probably look up, the ABS isn't capable to stop that. And I'm noticing that happened a lot more, and that will damage the tyres. So maybe towards the end of this race, we might see the pace drop off quite a bit more than it did last time out, and that could open up the door to someone who's a little bit better at saving their tyres. And Felix, you are correct. Chandra is now all over the back of Katubi as well for 7th place. So battles all up and down this top 10.
Yes, as we just passed the halfway mark of this race. Here you can see in front of us Chandra trying to get past Kurtubi in that second sector. Hairpin around the outside here is not going to work. Perhaps a switchback. Next corner is also a right-hander. Chandra trying to find his way past Kurtubi. Now lost the connection really to Donald Kambe. So if Chandra can keep this close when approaching the back straight there, he'll get a very nice slipstream and should be able to get a move done into that final corner even already.
And Katubi had a little bit of a bad corner in turn 14. But I don't think Chandra's going to be quite close enough for the final corner. However, that could set him up for further down the road into another corner. As the top 5 are continuing their big battle as well. So these places are not secure at all. We did see in Matsusaka the field spread out quite a little bit, even in the AM race. However, they're staying so close here in Malaysia, which is great to see. As I'm just going to check on Loho. Yes, Loho did go in for some damage repairs, but interestingly, Devani Gra and Loho are basically last on the track, despite being at the top of the championship, which just shows you how things can turn around very quickly. As we're now seeing Chandra try and get on the back of Katubi. He's now caught back up to Dr. Kambe as well. So this is going to be these guys battling throughout this lap as well. Can they find a move into turn number 4? They're thinking about it. Chandra thinking about maybe a little bit of a switchback here. Come up towards turn number 5, though can't quite get the momentum just yet.
He's looking, but he can't really find that gap. Also needs to be patient, of course. He's in a good position right now. If he makes a mistake and crashes out or spins the car, then of course you lose every point that he's fought so hard for to get back here. Right now, very close, perhaps coming into the hairpin here, having a peak on the inside, late braking, but so is Katubi.
This would be a good result for Katubi as well, because he only finished 19th last time out, so this would be a huge improvement from them. And interestingly, the race leader, Adisa Putra, was only 12th last time out as well, so I think we're going to see a big shake-up in the championship as we head towards the end of this second race. However, still 7 minutes to go as Chandra's thinking about getting up the inside into that corner. Yes, he actually has managed to do that. He's managed to get his car on the inside. However, he's going to be on the outside now for the braking zone into the final corner. But can he make this work on the outside? He's going to have to brake pretty late and hope that Katubi makes the corner. Otherwise, there might be some contact that sent him off like recently. Oh yeah, as I said there, just a little bit of contact as Katubi went a little bit deep. So Chandra's got to try and get that overlap all over again now.
We'll have to slipstream down the start-finish right now, but you can see that car from Katubi has a good enough top speed to keep him behind him for most of this straight. Braking important, a bit of tire smoke there. Chandra goes up the inside there.
Trying to squeeze him into turn number 2. Can he make that work? Yes, he has. So that is going to be 7th place for Eric Chandra. Good job for him. Took him a few laps, but he managed to finally make it work. As a little bit further ahead, Sapucha's got up into 4th place as he's got past Andika, as they had been swapped around. But they've swapped again. So Sapucha back into 4th place, Andika into 5th. And they're really not letting the podium get away from them. But certainly Adis Putra is looking fairly good in the leading position at the moment. As we've seen, plenty of drivers have been making some mistakes so far this race. So, do not count anyone else out just yet.
Combe is now the next target for Chandra, and Kurtubi is also not giving up just yet as he brakes very late for that second sector hairpin and almost runs into the back of Chandra there. Manages to get the car stopped in time though. As he drifts around the right hand there. I'm sure his tires won't be liking that. 5 minutes to go in this race, and perhaps tire wear starting to play a role here for some of these drivers.
It certainly could be. This is a much harder track on the tyres. It's a lot more extreme with the corners and the types of corners, and it's very bumpy. Also, Matsusaka, half of the track is basically just a full straight, effectively, as well. There's really 3 long straights to finish the lap after the hairpin in Matsusaka. That obviously helps with the amount of corners that you have per kilometre. As we're now watching these guys still battling for the lead. Danny is caught back up to Eda Saputra and trying to get that lead back that he had for a couple of laps. We've already done 7 laps in this race, so this is going to be number 8. And then when we get to the end of this, I believe we will be into then 9 laps. So I do think this is going to be a 9-lap race for these drivers, but we'll see exactly when they get towards the end of this track. This lap, I should say. So there could only be this and 1 more lap, which means the drivers need to try and make their overtakes work, as Chandra now trying to get up into 6th place. Chandra certainly looked very quick on the race pace here. Wasn't quite so quick in the qualifying session, but he had that amazing start. Got hit by Loho, which put him down a little bit, but he's now trying to get back up, and he certainly looked like he's one of the faster guys here. And is he going to get up the inside here? That's going to be an awkward place to do it, but he might be able to get a bit of a run as Dondakambe runs out a bit wide, but actually that has actually helped him defend, as now Chandra's trying to make something work into the hairpin of turn number 9. And then through the kink of turn 10. It's quite a difficult place, but this is where you set yourself up. You don't want to lose time here, you just want to do it nice and smoothly, get yourself nice and close before the back straight, which is really the overtaking opportunity.
Chandra needs to get a good exit. I think he has been able to do so. Here onto the back straight. Dondakambe will be losing out to Chandra. Chandra has the slipstream, but does he have the top speed to get to the inside of Dondakambe here in the final corner? No, Chandra decides to not take that. Dondakambe goes a bit deep though. Chandra very, very close to the gearbox of that Honda in front of him. And surely Chandra is going to try it into turn 1 now. He's got the slipstream. Dondakambe really defending, keeping the door open. Outbraking himself slightly though, but able to stop the car in time. Chandra very, very close to that rear wing. Ooh, even a bit of a love tap there coming through turn 2. I'm sure that doesn't give them too much damage, but you have to be careful, of course.
And I had a look when they crossed the line. I believe they did it with about 2 minutes 17, which means they will actually get a 10th lap if that is completely accurate, which means that they're going to have to do an extra lap. So hopefully people have calculated for that and have the extra fuel needed for a 10th lap. As we're now seeing Chandra still battle it out here for 6th place, and this is probably good news for Chandra as it gives him a whole extra 5.5 kilometers to try and make this overtake work for 6th place. He's done a very good comeback. However, it's not so good for Eda Saputra as Danny is getting all over the back of him as we come towards the 3rd sector on the 9th lap. But we do believe they will have to do another lap, which is the beauty of having a timed race compared to a lap distance race, because you don't know exactly how many laps. You have to take every opportunity that you get, and Danny is certainly getting close as they only have 30 seconds now of the race. Or is now Chandra. What is he going to do? Round the outside, maybe get a bit of a switch back through turn 14, to try and get a better exit, although Kotubi is actually all over the back of them again. As we come towards the final corner. I do believe they are going to just get an extra lap as Chandra is now battling as, are they going to get one? Yes, by 3 seconds they're going to get another lap. So that is not the race over. The race is now technically hit 0 now, but they will have to do another lap. As what can Chandra do? He is all over the back. Look at that. Look how close he's getting. And he's now got down the inside. Can he make it on the brakes? Yes, he can. He's looking very good. If he makes the apex, he's gone a little bit wide. So this is going to give the opportunity for Donnakambe to come back. But no, Chandra has finally made that work into 6th place. And he's now just got one more lap to hold on. And that'll be a pretty good comeback from that incident earlier.
Definitely. Saputra and Andika battling as well for 4th place. Side by side now. Out of turn 4, and Saputra takes that place from Andika. Kotubi and Donnakambe also still going at it now. Donnakambe trying to hold on to at least 7th, but Kotubi, I think, is smelling blood as Donnakambe really starting to drop the pace now.
Yeah, might be having a couple of issues with tyres potentially, as we are now to the end of the 20 minutes. And we haven't actually really had time to look at it because of the battling in the top 10, but there's a huge battle for the final point in 15th place as well. Chaser has currently got that in 15th place. However, there's plenty of drivers. Always Chaser goes for a bit of a crash there. Crashes with a Prasanta, I think that was. So Shaquille gets now up into 15th place on the very final lap. But we have to look towards the front as they're coming to finish this 2nd race of the season. Can Danny make it work into the final corner? Is he going to be close enough to make a last corner move like we saw Loho do in the previous race? He's going to think about it down the inside on the brakes. This is his final opportunity, but no. Adesaputro is going to hold on. And Adesaputro is going to take victory in the 2nd race of the Honda Racing Simulator Championship, round number 2 from Malaysia. So congratulations to him for holding on there. Danny not so far behind, only 4 tenths in the end. Hadamo will get 3rd, Saputra in 4th, and Dika in 5th place. Chandra will get 6th place after being hit off earlier. Who knows what could have been for him, but he's certainly going to look for podiums later on in the season. Donnakambe in 7th, Kotubi in 8th, Shahab in 9th, Argo in 10th, Rishan Matthew in 11th, Pranata in 12th. We're still battling here for 13th place. Who's going to get 13th place out on the final corner? All bit of contact with Shaquille as they come towards the line. Who is going to get 13th place? Shaquille just gets that with Prasanta in 15th place. They're getting the final point. But Felix, that was certainly quite a hectic race between quite a few of these drivers. A lot of people going for all these different moves, maybe taking a little bit more risk than we've seen in the first race.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, this track allows a little bit more for overtakes, as we have those long straights, so the drivers were able to keep close to each other a little bit more than they were in Matsusaka last time around, and they took full advantage of that. A lot of battles, a lot of bumping, and also some incidents, of course, but I'm sure the stewards will have a look at that after the race if there are any penalties that need to be handed out. Somebody has found the horn on their car as well, so they seem to be either very happy or upset with somebody. But yeah, great race, especially by Adesaputra, able to fend off Danny throughout most of that race, and Darmo in 3rd, also a very nice result for him, I think.
Yeah, certainly going to be quite interesting for how that works with the standings as well, because Loho and Devani Graha both not getting points. That is going to really shake it up. And Adesaputra was only in 12th place. So my guess is that Alf and Danny will be leading the championship because he got 3rd last time out and 2nd here. So I believe he will be leading the way in 2nd place of the championship. However, that is not the only championship we have for you. Coming up in a few moments, we will move to the pro class. So that is pretty much the best 30 sim racers in the whole of Indonesia, and they will be going at it to fight for some even bigger prizes, and obviously the Honda Racing Simulator Championship, pride of winning that as well. So firstly, some more racing coming up for you in a few moments time, and we'll take a quick break as we jump over to the server for the pro guys, and then we'll be back for qualifying for the pro class. So we will see you in a couple of minutes.
The power of dreams. power of dreams.
You're looking for a diamond in the rough, and I could be quite tough.
Honda Civic Hatchback RS. Sexiness intensified. Experience RS. A pleasure in every drive.
And welcome to the Pro Class of the Honda Racing Simulator Championship here for round 2 in Malaysia. So we've just seen the amateur class have their race. However, we now move to the pro guys. So these are the top 30 qualifiers from our pre-qualification back in June. So this is the top class, the big boys of Indonesian sim racing. You'll probably recognise quite a lot of the names as well from the bigger rFactor 2 events that have happened as well. There's some really good names in this class. And they've got a slightly longer race. They've got a 40-minute race. But just before that, obviously, we will have a quick qualifying session as well. But as the drivers start their qualifying session, we'll just say that, obviously, these guys are fighting for slightly bigger prizes, thanks to, obviously, our sponsors, being Honda Prospect Motor and HM Engineering as well. So these guys have got, to be honest, quite a nice prize to fight for. The winner of the Pro Class at the end of the 6 races gets 20 million rupees along with a trophy. And then in second place is 10 million, third is 8 million, fourth is 6.5, and fifth is 5.5 million rupees. So decent amount of money to go around for these drivers, which is why they're all fighting so hard for this championship. And obviously this is the first iteration of this championship, and certainly Felix, it's gone pretty well so far. The races that we had in Matsusaka.
Yeah, definitely. We've had a great race in Matsusaka. And I think the drivers will be trying to give us an even better race here today. We've already seen in the Amateur Championship that this track allows for quite some nice overtakes. And I'm sure these pro drivers will also give us a nice show, as the qualifying session has just started. And I think most drivers are about to start their first qualifying times.
Yeah, so just like in the amateur division, they have a 15-minute session that is private, so it's only themselves on the track, and they will get probably 3 total flying laps within this 15-minute session. And we're looking at Suzuo coming down in the number 1 car, number 1 in the standings as well, as he was obviously quickest in the practice session that we just had before this. And these pro guys, were generally a little bit quicker than the guys in the amateur race, because obviously these are the better guys, but also they will have a tiny bit more rubber down on the track because they have a bit of a longer practice session, which helps that as well. So we're probably going to be looking at pole being well into the 2-minute 7s, maybe even a 2-minute 6 if someone really wants to go a bit crazy. But now we're looking at Yaka come through this really difficult section, because you can take it almost flat out but not quite, so you have to just balance the car as best you can as we now come into this double right-hander. Really got to keep the car nice and balanced. It's very difficult to do so in a front-wheel drive car, but that is your goal always before making your way into the very tricky hairpin that we talked about. And the car between the AM and the Pro Class is the exact same, so every single car has the same power, the same aerodynamics, the same setup. All of that is completely the same. It is all down to what the individual driver can do. As Suzuo is obviously going purple, as there are no laps set. However, I can see on the timing rack mat has actually got a bit quicker in that second sector. So there's certainly some more time out there to be found as we come towards the end of the first lap. I do wonder if we are going to see a 2-minute 7 as Ardennes has actually gone and set the first lap of a 2-minute 8.6. So that is the benchmark at the moment. So that's why Siswoyo's moved down into 3rd place, but where can he go? As he now got 8.3. Or did Siswoyo? Oh no. Just switch the camera, but yeah, 7.8 for Siswoyo as he goes to the top. And 7.8 also for Rakhmat, who's only 25 thousandths of a second behind, and Taruna on a 7.9, so very close at the top. 0.3 for the top 3.
Indeed, very close. Siswoyo, of course, has proven himself to be quite quick, I should say, and Rakhmat only 2.5 hundredths of a second behind him at the moment, and Taruna not even a 10th behind that. So promising already in this first lap of qualifying. I guess the drivers will have a total of 3 or 4 attempts, is what we saw in the Amateur Championship, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it was 0.3 for the top 3.
Right, so they'll be trying once more, of course, and then after that they'll still have an attempt left if they make any mistakes. Siswoyo so far quickest of the bunch. Ido's Theo at the moment in 20th, or at least he was 20th in the practice session. Let's see what he's able to do in this qualifying session now. First sector is already quite a bit off what the top drivers have been able to do. So he needs to find some time in the 2nd and 3rd sector if he wants to get into that top 15, top 10 area.
Yeah, Theo was 18th place last time out, so no points on the board for him. And he's, I should say, currently down in 20th place, but he's one of the, I think, 10 drivers at the moment who've still not set a lap, as we already have 8.5 minutes to go. So the time is running away from them quite quickly if they aren't setting a lap time. As he comes out onto the back straight. Interestingly, Maulana hasn't set a lap time yet, and I don't think he set a lap in the practice session either. He won the race last time out fairly comfortably, if I remember correctly, as well. So interesting that he hasn't sort of put his name to the top just yet, but he is also on a lap as we see Tete come around the final corner now. Where can he put himself with his first hot lap here for round number 2? Comes to the line, it's going to be a 2:11.5, and that's going to put him currently last, unfortunately, as Maulana winner last time out. Where can he put himself? 4th place, so fairly good. He's only about a quarter of a second off the pole position as Rakhmat now comes out to start his 2nd lap.
Indeed, 2nd lap for Rakhmat, and most of the drivers within that top 10 will be starting their 2nd lap, so we'll keep an eye out on the rest as well, as we are now on board with Rakhmat coming into that first corner, hitting the inside apex nicely there. Dips away on the inside here to the left a little bit. You try to keep the car on the ground as much as possible. Try and take the traction out of the corner, because it's still quite a bit of a run coming up to turn 4. Again, hard braking around the 100 meter board. Misses the inside apex slightly there, but I don't think that's too bad. However, around 1.5 tenths slower than his previous best so far. So we'll have to find a bit of time in this 2nd sector.
And this is the sector where we've seen people lose time on their lap as well, as it's got a couple of tricky corners. One is really this corner. Got to be so careful with those curbs as they are pretty big before working your way down towards the end of sector 2 in this hairpin. Once again, seeing that rear left wheel get unloaded is awesome to see, but he's got purple in that middle sector actually. So that is looking pretty good for Rakhmat, although Siswoyo has followed him up and actually gone even quicker. So Siswoyo is looking good on his 2nd lap as well. He's obviously a little bit behind, so we'll stay on board with Rakhmat to see what he can do in this final sector. And he's certainly on a good time so far, but is he going to be good enough to make an improvement and challenge for that pole position, or even get just a little bit closer? to defend from the guys behind. We're going to find out.
Siswoyo abandoned his lap, so he's back into the pit lane. He won't be improving on this lap then. Have 1 or maybe 2 attempts left if he can get to the line in time. Ahmad now across the line, not able to improve. Very close to his personal best, but just not enough to get a better lap in.
Interesting, we still have 3 people who haven't set a lap either. We've got Fires Ryan, Indera and Alif. So that is a few guys to potentially look out for later in the session, as we have a couple of drivers still on lap. So I've got Fikri Azka as well, 19th place at the moment, 3.5 seconds off. So the field spread is actually a decent amount, to be honest, for some of these guys. And obviously, one reason for that is obviously the when you come to the race event, you only really get 3 attempts, or even 2 if you make some mistakes or lose time in the qualifying session as well. So that is a lot different to the pre-qualification, where they basically had 2 weeks to do lap after lap after lap to get themselves into the top 30. So there's a lot more pressure on them now, as Malana abandons that lap. He will only have enough time for 1 more lap. Kenzie, we haven't mentioned him yet, but he's into 5th place. So that is pretty good job from him so far. He was 5th last time out as well, ironically. So maybe 5th is the place for him in this championship. However, he has just improved in that first sector, so this could be him getting up towards the top 3.
Very hard on the brakes. They're coming into turn 4, locking the tires on the front. We managed to get the car stopped in time for the corner, so no big time loss there. He's about 1.5 tenths off what the top 2 or top 3 drivers were able to do, but still a personal improvement. So let's see what he's able to do in the second sector. That's the most important one. I think runs a bit wide there, and hopefully he didn't get a cut track warning for that, then his time will be deleted. In there looks very stable through here, looks very stable in general. Also an improvement there. I think he might be challenging for this top 2, maybe top 3, if you can get a good third sector in. This is the inside apex a little bit there, but that's not too bad. This flowing section is going to be very important, especially the long right-hander, as you take all the momentum through there, slides the car there, manages to catch it, but it's probably going to lose him out a little bit.
Yeah, he's certainly doing pretty good. Someone else who's also on a good lap is Iskander. Timo Skander. He's gone purple in that first sector, currently down in 9th place as well. And done a decent middle sector, so he could be moving up. But what can Kenzie do? He needs to improve a decent amount to get to 3rd place, but he might be able to get 4th as he comes out of the final corner. Quite a long run to the line. Where is he going to put himself? Up into 4th place he goes, even with a slightly worse 3rd sector as well. So where can now Timo put himself out of the final corner? Done some good sectors so far, currently 9th place. Is he able to improve? Where is he going to go? Up into 5th place. That is a nice improvement there by Timo.
Indeed it is. Siswoyo on a hot lap. He abandoned his previous lap, of course. Purple in the first sector, looking good so far. Second sector time is gonna come in just now. Also a purple second sector. So Siswoyo really looking strong so far. Might be able to improve on his provisional pole position lap time even more now.
Yeah, this is looking pretty good. It's not. It's about 10 down on what his middle sector was last time as well. So there's even more time left in this for Siswoyo. But unless he has fuel for another lap, he won't be able to make any sort of improvements.
As we have a slight issue with the game. I think the game just crashed for me. So we'll we'll get back as soon as possible.
We'll see what Siswoyo does. Anyway, on the live timing, as we see him get towards the final corner, and now he's going to come across the line. Where can Siswoyo put himself? He goes even quicker on a 7.6 to get his provisional pole position to over 0.2 of a second. That is looking very good. Ferris Stanley, 7th place, is also on a lap. Currently 0.8 off, despite being in 7th place, which just shows how quick the top couple of drivers are. But Stanley has raced in all sorts of top R-Factor 2 championships as well, so he certainly knows what he is doing. Where can he put himself on this lap? Goes up into 3rd place on a 7.9, so good improvement there from Ferris Stanley. We've also got a couple of other drivers who are looking pretty good. We've got Maulana on a purple first sector. So Maulana might be able to get himself up even further. As we've already previously mentioned, he won the first race fairly easily. Had a decent gap by the end of it. But not doing the qualifying laps so far that he wants. Taruna is also improving a little bit on this last lap. Most drivers are actually back in the pit lane. We've just got Rakhmat, Taruna and Maulana out, who are all inside the top 7. Let's see now what Maulana could do as he comes around the final corner. Not quite so good in the middle sector, but still good enough to get a nice time. Where can he put himself with his final lap? Jumps up into 3rd place, so pushes Stanley down into 4th. Maulana up into 3rd place. Taruna now out of the final corner. Where can he put himself? 5th place currently. Up into 2nd place. Nice there. Purple in the final sector for Taruna. Goes up into 2nd place. And now, at least for the top guys challenging, it is really Rakhmat who is on a lap, as Taruna is only 10 thousandths, so otherwise known as 100th of a second ahead of Rakhmat here. So Rakhmat, with only a small improvement, will be able to get himself up. He's had a personal best first sector, decent middle sector, although not quite as good as he would have wanted, but still he's got opportunity here to get himself back onto that front row. However, there's 3/10 covering the top 5 and only not even 1/10 covering the top between 2nd and 5th. So this is looking very close at the front, just as it was last time out as well. So this is looking very good for these guys. And now Rakhmat comes towards the final corner, as we are obviously getting pictures again on your screen. But what can Rakhmat do? Where can he put himself? Looking decent in his sectors. But can he get himself onto that front row of the grid as he comes around the final corner, or will it be Taruna and Suzuo? What can he do? Stays in 3rd place, so it is Suzuo and Taruna on that front row, followed by Rakhmat and Maulana. And believe that is everyone who has finished their qualifying indeed. So that is your grid for the pro race here. Got a 2:7.6 as your pole position from Jaakko Suzuo.
Yeah, great lap time by him. Over 2/10 quicker than Arvind Taruna behind him, and Fadili Rakhmat got very close to that front row, but it was just not enough. Very close. Behind that, the top 2 to 7th, 8th is relatively close to each other. And let's hope we will see some great racing here in this 40-minute race that's coming up.
Yes, certainly a little bit longer for these drivers. We did see a lot of locking up in the AM race, so I mean, we sort of teased this, but no one's actually done the big gamble to do it yet. But changing tyres, is that going to be a factor here? We know it's a bit harder on the tyre degradation. I do wonder if that's going to be something that happens. Who knows? We will see if that is something that's someone chooses. However, obviously you do lose a decent amount of time. You're probably going to lose around 25 seconds, so it's quite a bit to make up. However, we have seen the pace drop off, go up to even maybe 3 seconds a lap by the end of the race. So we have to see how that one works out for these guys. And just to run you through the current championship standings for the pro guys. So Maulana is leading the way with 25 points. Suzuo is on 20. Stanley is on 16. Taruna is on 13. Kenzie is on 11. Iskander on 10. And Angwin is in 7th place on 9 points. Rakhmat is in 8th with 8 points. And Stephen on 7. Edo is on 6 points for the top 10. So those are the guys really to look out for, and almost all of those guys are actually in the top 10 again on this qualifying session. So we'll just have to see how they work out as we get to that 40-minute race.
Indeed. Before we go into that 40-minute race though, we're gonna go for a short message from our sponsors.
The power of dreams.
I am the front man who drives. My power keeps me ahead in the front line. My reputation gets me on the front page. This is how I drive superiority. By being in the front row. New Honda Civic Turbo.
And welcome back to the Pro class of the Honda Racing Simulator Championship, brought to you by Honda Prospect Motor and HM Engineering. We are here for the second race of the 6-race season that these drivers will have to battle throughout the summer here of 2020. So what have we got to come? Well, we are here for Malaysia today, and then next week we will be in Silverstone in the UK for the 3rd race of the season, and then followed by that we will have Sao Paulo, Brazil, Zandvoort in the Netherlands, and then finishing off at the Autodrome of Portugal for the final race of the season on the 29th of August. So over the next 6 weeks or 5 weeks, these drivers will be battling. So you got to make sure you are getting these results in. You can't make too many mistakes in a 6-race championship, but it's still plenty long enough for there to be some good battles. And as we saw in the qualification, pretty much the top 10 from the championship is also the top 10 in the qualifying here. So unlike in the AM category where it was all mixed up, it seems that we've got a pretty comfortable top 10 in this class, and they will obviously be battling out to try and get the edge on each other. And I think, Felix, we're looking forward to a pretty good 40-minute race here.
Yeah, I think we're gonna be looking forward to a great race coming up. We, like I said already before, like the amateur drivers showed us already before, this track allows the drivers to get some nice overtakes done, especially around the back straight, the start-finish straight as well, of course, because the slipstream adds up, of course, with the combination of those two straights, and also moves into that hairpin in sector 2, and perhaps also coming onto the back straight. Those are the main places where we're gonna see drivers overtaking, and of course the first 2 laps are gonna be quite tight here with all the drivers bunched up together. Let's hope everybody gets through those first 2 laps cleanly, and of course hopefully all the 23 drivers that are here today will get to the finish.
Yeah, obviously with the field being a little bit less than the AM category, that's going to help them get through the first couple of corners, especially turn 1 and 2 here. It's a really awkward section of corners actually to have as the first, because they're very difficult to go side by side. 2 hairpins, especially turn 2 is very tight, and hopefully we don't see any incidents or crashes that are going to take anyone out of the race. But the drivers are now just gridding up for this pro race, second race of the season from Malaysia. And here on the screen you can see who we have for the grid. So Siswo is leading the way on the front row alongside Arwin Taruna, and then on the second row we've got Rakamat and your race winner from last time, Maulana. Then next row we have Stanley and Kenzie, followed by Iskander and Arik, and then rounding out the top 10 we've got Ardeneza and Edo.
After that top 10, we've got Tubagus Farhan, 11th, Ain 12th, Muhammad Andri, 13th, Iko Ahmad, 14th, Michael Christian, 15th, we got Deleander Hidiat, 16th, Nicolaus Steven, 17th, Reza Haryanto, 18th Indra Ferianto, 19th Mohammad Aska, and closing up the top 20, we've got Ido Setjo. Then the next few drivers, the last 3 drivers is Mohammad Faiz Rayan, Raditya Indira, and carrying the red lantern to the grid, we've got Mohammed Alif here today.
And interesting, those last 3 drivers actually didn't set a lap in the qualifying. I don't believe that was any sort of penalty. I don't know if that was just by choice, but either way, they are starting from the back of the grid. As you say, they'll be the last ones to grid up, and once they are grid up, we will obviously then get the start of the race, but it's Zoe who is at the front. And remember, last race, once Maulana got the lead, he did put a bit of a gap, but there was a very, very good fight for the top 5 especially. So I think we're going to see a very good battle between these guys. And we've just been told that one of those guys at the back actually rolled his car and flipped it over in the qualifying session, so that is probably why he didn't set a lap, unfortunately. Hopefully he gets a bit better of a result in this racing session. 40 minutes, so twice the length of the amateur guys, which means that's a little bit more to think about with regard to exactly how many laps there's going to be, and also potentially pit stops. But obviously that is unlikely, but if you really destroy your tyres, then you might have no choice if you are going that slowly. Now the drivers are working their way into the final sector, and we've got to see what these guys can do. Siswo is looking pretty good, as he's also second in the championship currently. A few places ahead of Maulana, so if he can keep a bit of gap, he's going to make a good jump on Maulana. As after this race, we'll already be 1/3 of the way through the championship. This being the second of 6 races, so it's important to get your results in.
Formation lap almost done. Svoyo coming out of the final corner now, and he will be getting into his grid slot, making sure his tires are warm, making sure his brakes are up to temperature as well. And let's see how he will take this start.
I do wonder if the inside driver is going to get a good start, like happened on the ARM race earlier. Whereas actually the driver on the inside got the better start, which means you then have the inside into turn number 1. Let's see what happens as the 5 red lights come on, and then we will get started for this second race of the Pro Championship here for the Honda Racing Simulator Championship, brought to you by HM Engineering and Honda Prospect Motor, with the winner of the championship getting 20 million rupees. So plenty to fight for, and now the lights are going to go out and we are going to get underway here. Who's going to get the best start down into turn number 1? Once again, it's the driver on the inside who gets a very good start. This time, that is Taruna on the inside getting a good start as we come down to turn number 1. Is there going to be any sort of braking? But no, Lucas Svoyo massively outbrakes himself actually. Is he going to keep that into turn number 2? Yes, he is. That was a very awkward situation where he was sending over that apex of turn number 1. Now we work our way out through turn number 3. We've got some drivers battling for position, coming down into the ring zone of turn number 4. This is one of the better overtaking opportunities, as Felix mentioned earlier. Was driver of number 9 there battling, trying to get onto the brakes really hard. As we now work our way into 5 and 6. And it seems that pretty much everyone is getting through this rather nicely so far. The drivers giving themselves nice respectful room as we come towards the middle part of the lap number 1. We've got also some big dives there into turn number 7 and 8. A little bit of contact there, someone's been hit off, our Rick has gone. I think it might have been Nicholas Stephen who got hit there. So big crash there at the back as we now work our way into the 3rd sector. It's still Siswo leading away from Arwin Taruna.
Indeed, some incidents there at the back. Ooh, somebody, I think that was Rahmat, very sideways into that right-hander. Managed to keep the car pointing in the right direction, but now I'm sure Ataya Kenzie will be looking to dive up the inside here. The long right-hander got to be very close on the inside apex there. Almost touched. Now Slipstream is going to be a big part of this race. Down this back straight, drivers trying to go up the inside. Not much room is being left there for the car of Ferris Stanley as they dive up the inside of the final corner.
And Maulana actually got up into second place in that final corner as well, just at the side of that shot. So Taruna's down into third, so plenty of overtakes happening as we come towards the end of lap number 1. Now we see drivers once again spread out, fan out, side by side. Oh, someone's got off. Taruna's got off in turn number 1. I wonder if Maulana was involved or if Taruna just did that himself. That was very interesting to see that. Taruna's got now down into 9th place, and I can just see on my personal replay if that was him by himself, and I think it was. I think he just locked the rears himself. That is a bit awkward as he was trying to get back past Maulana, and that's just how hard he was hitting that brake pedal, and that has made him now drop down into 9th place as Rahmat is now up into 3rd.
Yeah, he'll be happy about that, of course. A shame for Taruna, of course. Ooh, who went wide there? That was Rahmat. Rahmat went wide. He's going to lose 2, maybe even 3 positions here. Ferris Stanley now side by side on the outside, coming into the second sector hairpin. Late braking for Rahmat, trying to keep his position, but no, he's going to have to give it to Stanley, and 3 positions even lost in the space of just a few corners as Rahmat made a mistake there.
And that is what can happen if the second is going to lose positions. As you can see how close everyone is staying together. Not even a second between each car as they work their way towards the end of the second lap. Going to see who's going to get the slipstream down this back straight. Oh, look at that, everyone goes wide out of the penultimate corner. Now towards the final corner. Is there going to be any crazy moves into the final corner? As we saw contact here last time. We got that battle there for 4th place.
Yeah, Stanley very close to Ataya Kenzie in front of him. He will be taking the slipstream down the start finish right now. Let's see where he can position his car. Is he taking the defensive line on the inside? He also in the rear view mirrors there. All the cars behind him. Rahmat very close. Ooh, Stanley having a little bit of a peak on the inside of turn 2 there. Around the outside of turn 3 is not really going to help you. It's flat out anyway. Now perhaps turn 4 is going to give an opportunity for Stanley. Into the braking zone. Kenzie defends well there. And he's going to have to take the inside line that's going to allow Rahmat around the outside. This corner is to the left, so Rahmat is going to have to back out of that. This battle for 3rd position is going to, the race heating up really quickly now, and that's allowing the top 2 to start pulling the gap.
And that's exactly what Maulana would have wanted, because now he can only focus on Siswayo, as it's about 2.5 seconds back to Kenzie now. So that is why battling isn't always the best idea in an early part of the race, because you just lose some time to the cars ahead. However, it's also a good place to make moves because you are so close together. So it's that balance that you really need to find between being or sort of battling too hard that you're actually losing time rather than gaining anything in the greater outcome of the race. But now Stanley's still very close and is going to once again try and get past Kenzie, but you can see if he makes a mistake, there's 4 cars right behind him who are going to try and get past.
Indeed, you're watching from the rear wing of Ataya Kenzie coming into that final corner. This time it's a bit more breathing space to Stanley than last time around, but Stanley once again will have the slipstream here coming on the start-finish straight. Front Milano's also still close to Siswoyo.
Around the outside of turn 1. That means we're at the inside of turn 2. If he can make that, where is Stanley? That's what came out of nowhere, but he made that work. Around the outside of turn 1, he's going to be able to hold around the outside of turn 3 because he's just about side by side, but he's going to have to do the long way around, so he's going to lose a car length or so. So he's going to have to be all on the brakes now into turn number 4. Who's going to come out on top? Stanley around the outside, so he's going to be pushed out a tiny bit. But he'll now have the inside for turn number 5, so he's made that work after 4 corners. And now Rakhmat is trying to get through on Kenzie as well. So this is really heating up for 3rd and 4th place, as they've now dropped back almost 4 seconds to 2nd place with all this battling.
Yeah, great stuff there by Stanley and Kenzie, almost side by side all the way through that first sector. Great to see the respect, the mutual respect from those 2 drivers being given. Now Kenzie under pressure from Rakhmat. Trying to go around the outside. Edo is well involved in that now. Kenzie able to fend off both of them for now. But Edo's got the inside line here on Rakhmat. Ooh, a bit of contact made there. Managed to keep the cars pointed in the right direction, but this allows Iskandar behind that to also close in.
Look at them slide their way into turn 14 on the brakes. Trying their best to keep up with the car ahead, and look at Stanley now with a bit of a gap, so this could leave Kenzie under big attack from these cars behind. As they come into the final corner, is Rakhmat going to be able to do anything with maybe a little bit of a switchback? Coming out of final corner now. He's going to at least be in the slipstream. Getting closer and closer. Suddenly seems like the slipstream is actually quite a bit more beneficial on this track than it was back in Matsusaka. Round the outside, can he do what Ferris Stanley did? He watched Ferris do this 1 lap ago. Can he do it himself? Around the outside, they'll give him the inside for turn number 2. And that's been helped by, I think that's Edo. Actually, oh, contact there. Rakhmat is going to go around. As that is what happens when you hit the back of a front-wheel drive car. It just gets spun around. Rakhmat trying to push out Kenzie there. Didn't quite work, and he's gone for a bit of a spin. Where's Rakhmat dropped down to? He's dropped down into 10th place. And this has given Stanley such a break for 3rd place, as Edo now moves up into 4th. Kenzie has dropped down into 7th place in the process of this, so it's all change in the top 10.
Yeah, indeed. Unfortunate incident there. Just all got a little bit too tight for the drivers. And the biggest, or the guy that dropped the most places, of course, is Rakhmat. He'll be trying to fight his way back up. Still has half an hour to do so. Well, the race is definitely not lost yet, but definitely not what he would have wanted. Better for the lead also. Still very much, very close to each other.
As you say, there's still 30 minutes left, so it's quite interesting how they're battling so hard for some of these positions, but taking the opportunities when you get them is certainly what you have to do. As Maulana right on the back of Siswoyo, and I think we mentioned this last race as well. These guys are number 1 and 2 in the race, number 1 and 2 in the championship, and they're also the cars number 1 and 2, as they were the fastest in the pre-qualification, which is how they got assigned their car numbers. So that is quite interesting. However, it is Maulana who is leading the way in the championship. So if it finished right now, they would be joint on points. As we now see Iskandar right on the back of Edo for 4th place. Could this be another move down into turn number 1? As once again, it seems like the slipstream into turn number 1 is very powerful. If you can make it work on the brakes, Iskandar couldn't quite do that. Edo is looking good for 4th place at the moment, but that battle is going to continue, certainly, because Iskander is not dropping off at all. As we've also got some battling further back for 12th place. A big battle into turn number 2. Got Haryanto, Akamat and Ferianto all just behind. Oh, someone went off the track there. Akamat went off, exit of turn number 2. These guys trying to keep up with Ragmat, who's now 17 seconds off the lead after his little spin there. And obviously, there is the results of the race do pen to penalties. However, I do think that might have been Ragmat's fault himself when he got spun with Kenzie.
Maulana once again very close to Sisroyo. Coming into sector 2, as I see somebody crashed off there. Just on the side of your screen, you could see it in sector 2 there. I think that is Muhammad Alif.
Yes, one lap down. Exit of the hairpin. He's waiting. I think he's waiting for the big train of cars, but unfortunately, he is already one lap down after only almost 5 laps of the race. Once again, Maulana is so close. I do wonder what they have in terms of their wing angle, because it does look like Sisroyo actually pulls away a tiny bit on the straights. Maybe Sisroyo has a tiny bit less rear wing than his rival behind him, which could be one reason why Maulana is struggling a little bit. So let's see here as they come out the final corner. Maulana's obviously got the slipstream. Sisroyo's got good top speed, and interestingly, Maulana isn't actually really using the slipstream. So I do think maybe they're just trying to work together. Although it actually goes for a bit of a late dive there on the inside. That was out of nowhere. He made that work into turn number 1. I don't think Sisroyo was expecting that. Neither was I, because that was really out of nowhere. Maulana found the grip in the braking zone, sent it down the inside, and that is him up into the lead of the race. And that was, quite surprising. I was just about to say, I thought it might be sitting behind Sisroyo, but no, he has gone for that move and he's made it work.
Yeah, a bit of a dummy there. Showed his nose on the outside of the car in front of him, but then decided to go on the inside instead. And it made it work very well, like you said. Sisroyo wasn't expecting that. And now let's see if Maulana can do what he did last time around. Extend the gap. Or if Sisroyo is able to stick with him for now. Still 25 minutes to go, of course, in this race.
I wonder if Sisroyo has a slightly better qualifying pace than the race pace. I think Maulana was something like half a second off the pole position. However, that doesn't mean much. As you said earlier, the points are only given for the race, so it doesn't matter where you qualify, it matters where you are at the end of the 40 minutes. And once again, Maulana, just like in Masasaka, is starting to pull a tiny bit of a lead. We'll have to see how that one expands over the next few laps, and seeing if anything can happen. However, the battling is not done in the top 5, as Edo and Iskander are battling for that 4th position, with Timo getting very close coming into turn number 14. He's got better exit actually, so this might be a look down into the final corner. He's pulled out of the slipstream to the right hand side of the track, and he might be looking for a little bit of a switcheroo, try and get a better exit down into turn number 1 as well. It's just what he's doing. He's got his car up the inside. They should be getting a good exit, although actually he was all over the curb and that hindered his exit, and he potentially can't overtake now down into turn number 1.
Yeah, it seems a bit too far back unless he really throws a lunge at the inside here into turn 1. But no, he's not able to do so. But the driver's braking as late as they possibly can. You can see the tires lightly locking up. The puffs of smoke coming up because of that. Iskander still has enough time, of course, to try and get past in the next 24 minutes.
They're still battling for that final place. Got fires Ryan in 15th place. Was having a good battle there with Michael Christian. Michael obviously trying to get into those points. He had a points finish last time out, I believe, as well. No, sorry, he's just 16th last time. He's 16th again this time. So he obviously wants to get that final point as he actually goes off the track as well. But we've also got Haryanto here in 12th place, trying to get on the back of Ardeneza as they come up to turn 7 and 8. This is not really an overtaking opportunity, but look how close he's staying through here. So maybe the hairpin could be an opportunity as they both go a tiny bit wide there off the curb. And see if there's any sort of dive, but no, he's just trying to stay close. And once again, use that slipstream on the back straight, as that seems to be one of the better overtaking opportunities on the track.
For the final points is also still very heated.
Yeah, Brian Fazaran now trying to get on the back of Ferrianto for 14th place as well. So Ferrianto goes too slowly. He might drop out of the points as Christian isn't too far behind, and even Ndera in 17th. It's looking pretty good, but now Fazaran got a much better exit out of turn 14. Can he get alongside enough to make a move on the brakes? Certainly going to try it around the outside. He's just going to have to pull back in, try and get the exit out of this corner. Got a much better exit, got the slipstream, although he's actually a little bit too close. He actually, I think, made a bit of contact there. Ferrianto, so can he make it on the brakes down into turn number 1? They've actually braked pretty similarly, and he's going to have to sit behind for another little bit. So Fazaran maybe needs to just work on the race car just a tiny bit to try and make the overtake there, but he's got so much more top speed actually, not just from the slipstream. I think he's got much less rear wing as they now come towards turn number 4. Although he broke way early there, so he's going to have to try and work it out. It's actually Ferrianto going too deep on the brakes. Now they're going to go side by side into turn number 5. Who's going to have to back out of this one? Bit of contact there as they come through the apex of turn number 5, but it is Fazaran who comes out on top in that 14th place. And now Michael Christian is going to be looking at that last points paying position.
He also a bit of a force still going on. Edo and Iskandar very close to each other. They're not giving each other any chance to take a breath. Let's see if Iskandar can make a move here. It's very deep, perhaps trying to take a bit more exit speed and then try to make the move into the final corner or into turn 1, of course.
Edo's actually got a cut track on this lap as well as lap 2. Sorry, 2 to his name. I believe the limit is 8 before a penalty.
Oh, contact between Iskandar and Edo. I think Iskandar tried to go up the inside there, but Edo defended that position. Just a slight bit of contact made. It lost them a bit of time to the drivers behind them. Taya Kenzie starting to really close into them now.
Kenzie was also in a better position earlier on for a bit of contact with Rakamat. He's lost a bit of time to the top 3 now, as there's a huge gap. Ferris Stanley has an 8-second lead over Edo in 4th place, so that top 3 is looking pretty set already. However, that battle for 4th will get even more interesting if Kenzie can catch back up, try and get towards that 4th position. Something we haven't really talked about either. Just behind them is Farhan, 7th place, sitting there quietly, not too far behind Kenzie. This battle is going to get even closer as we are now over halfway through the race. It seems like we might be 18, maybe on the limit of 19 lap race here.
Iskandar lined himself up well here. Might be going for a move in the hairpin. Around the outside, late braking. No, not able to do so. Defensive line from Edo working out. Others gonna have to try and get past Ado here because, like you said, Kenzie's really starting to close in now.
Look how close he is getting. I do wonder if maybe there's a bit of a potentially tire differential starting to come out as well, but Iskander looking very close, getting the slipstream now towards the back straight and then into the hairpin. Someone's on the inside of the final corner. That's Alif again off the track, 3 laps down in 23rd place, as now Iskander very close to Edo. Left or right, which way is he going to go? He's going to go to the right, have the inside for the first corner, although he's actually just lifted off a bit to move back to the left. Potentially try around the outside, although Edo breaks very well to defend from that. Iskander's going to have to try potentially another part of the track to try and get through.
Yeah, perhaps turn 4 coming up. We get the exit here. Seems close enough. Edo's very well at defending so far. It's on the brakes for both of them. And Edo still in front. The 13th Ahmad and Faiz Rayan also still going at it. Faiz going for the inside here perhaps. No. Decides to back out of it. He had a little peek. Kandar once again not able to make the move here on the hairpin. Kenzie now less than a second behind them as well.
When for the final point, Indera has just got Michael Christian as well, just behind these guys. Michael Christian once again back into 16th place like it was in that first race. But Indera's just gone a bit wide, so it's going to give Michael the opportunity to come back at him through turn number 10 now. And that'll be a bit of a shame if Michael misses out on points for 2 races in a row. However, they still have just over 15 minutes left to try and make up these positions. And I believe a lot of these battles are going to be going on for quite a while, as Edo and Iskander once again side by side. They've got Kenzie all over the back of them now, and Iskander had a really bad final corner. It was all over the place and actually got a cut on that last lap as well. But Kenzie's getting all over the back of them, so it's now going to be a 3-way battle for 4th position. And over the last couple of laps, they have dropped off another 2 seconds from the leaders. Interesting fact is, I'm looking down. Seems like the tyre drop-off is around 1.5 seconds already from what they were doing at the very start of the race, which just shows you how much the tyres can drop off. We saw it go up to about 3 seconds in Matsusaka as the extreme, but certainly no one looking like they're going to make a pit stop in this race either.
Also, Rahmat got past Taruna there in turn 1 earlier this lap. So Rahmat starting to fight his way back into the top 8. And might be able to get past Farhan as well in the next few laps.
Yeah, Rahmat was really unlucky. Had such a good start. Was unlucky. I do believe it might go down to potentially a racing incident. The reason why he spat, but he was certainly looking good.
Kenzie.
As he, yes, just about saved that. Looked for a moment like he might go for a bit of a spin. But yeah, this is this 3-way battle just ahead of Rahmat and Farhan as they now come down to the final corner. And who is going to come out on top? Oh, bit of contact there with Kenzie. As Kenzie's now dropped down. Oh, sorry. Kenzie couldn't get past Iskander, so he's back down into 6th place. And that has just made that 3 just open up a little bit. Once again, they're still losing quite a bit of time to the top 3. With all this battling that they're doing. But the top 3 are staying pretty close together themselves. Who's going to come out on top of this 4th place battle? Edo's been holding this off for quite a while.
Once again, Iskander close to Edo, but he's not really able to get past. Let's see if he can do it this time around, coming into Sector 2. Hairpin here, doors wide open, but just can't break. I can't go for that inside dive, to say it like that, and Kenzie. Once again, also very close, trying to take the opportunity when it arises. Iskander very much sideways there throughout the right-hander. That allows Kenzie to close up here. Perhaps a move for Kenzie into the final corner. Here we go, Kenzie. Ooh, he's having a look on the curb there. There's not really any space for him. But he makes the space himself, to say it like that. But doesn't have the exit consequently. And also behind him, Farid Ahmad is getting past Tubagus Farhan. Ahmad on the outside. It's not going to be an easy move. Kenzie again close to Iskander, but not close enough. And I think Rahmat not able to get past Farhan for now. But perhaps if he gets a good exit out of here. He does get a good exit out of here. Might be able to make himself get past him coming into turn 4.
He's staying so close. Look at that. Can he get down the inside into turn number 4? Just about got alongside. He's good on the brakes. Can he get the exit though? So that is the important bit. As if you get just ahead here, it's impossible to go side by side. Yes, he does finally make that move up into 7th place for Rahmat. He's already made up about 3 places since that spin on the 2nd or 3rd lap of the race. And just ahead of him, this battle is still going for that 4th place. As we now come into the final 10 minutes, the final quarter of the race. So we're probably going to have 4 laps after this one, depending on the exact time that they cross the line. There's not too long left for these guys to make their moves, and Edo's still holding on really well for this 4th place.
Yeah, some guys went for pit stop. Indra Varianto and Muhammad Fikriaska. They went for a pit stop and just exiting the pit lane now, as you can see there at the bottom of the tower as well. Let's see where they come out. There is not many laps left for them to gain back the time, so I'm not sure if that's the right call. But we're gonna have to wait and see as Timo Iskander once again goes to the outside to try to move on Edo.
Once again, they're going almost side by side into that final corner. But can Iskander get alongside and finally make this move on the brakes? He's very, very, very close this time. Moves to the right-hand side. If he can get on the brakes well, this might... Oh, bit of contact there. Edo tried to block him off, but Iskander was already alongside. And that meant Edo has probably going to have a bit of damage from that. But certainly Iskander was there, and Edo, at least from where I was looking, it looked like he tried to squeeze him a bit more into the braking zone, and finally Iskander gets up into 4th place. Kenzie got through as well, and Edo, something flew off his car as he hit the wall.
Yeah, I think it was the front splitter there from Edo that went off the car. Pretty sure looks like that car doesn't have any splitter on the front anymore, so it's going to lose him quite a bit of downforce on the front of that car. It's going to have to struggle to get through the corners now with only 8 minutes to go.
Yeah, he was doing so well in that 4th place, but I think just from the first time of seeing it, I do think that might have been his own fault, squeezing Iskander to the inside a little bit too far. And as we said, if you make contact with the rear of a front-wheel drive car, you just go spinning, and that's exactly what happened to him. I'm sure Strohs might end up looking at that, but we'll see what happens. But I do think that was potentially himself causing that. But it might actually get worse, because Rakhmat is all over the back of him as well. As just behind them, Farah and Tarun are going side by side. This is not a corner you want to go side by side, but they're going to try it anyway. And Tarun is really trying to get this 8th place as they come into turn 14.
Siswoyo and Malana. Siswoyo and Malana battling for the lead there in the final corner. And I think they're still side by side here coming down the main straight. Siswoyo's been able to take the position back, but is Malana going to go for a dive here? Siswoyo taking the defensive line this time. Learned from what happened last time around. Malana late on the brake still though, and very close to the back of Siswoyo. But Siswoyo going for the overtake there on the back straight.
Yeah, I wasn't noticing that Siswoyo was staying very close, but he obviously decided that was the moment to actually make the overtake work. And now he's still leading the way coming through the first sector. Only a few laps to go. This is certainly looking pretty good for him. I think there's actually going to be 4 laps including this one, because I think they're going to just go over to make a 4th lap as well. Still plenty of time for him to hold on. Or to try and hold on, I should say. But Maulana isn't quite so dominant in this race. In fact, it's also really 3 people who are dominant, because Stanley has stayed about 2 seconds behind these guys since the start of, or the first part of the race where he got into that 3rd place. But look at it, Iskander 4th place, but he's 19 seconds off the lead, so he's really, really dropped off. But that is what happens when you have a big battle. As now Rakhmat is trying to get past Edo quite strongly now as they come through turn number 8. Haven't really seen many overtakes into turn number 9, but he's close enough. We might see a move here down on the brakes into turn number 9. Is he going to make it work? Edo's going to leave him the space, and that is a nice move there by Rakhmat to get himself up into 6th position.
Yeah, Edo, of course, with that damaged front car, or damaged car on the front, his splitter is missing. He will be losing up quite a bit on the downforce on the car, and in the corners he'll definitely be losing some time compared to the other cars on track. And let's hope he can get the car back home, at least within the points. With just a few laps to go, I think he'll be able to do so. Back at the front, Maulana struggling to keep with Siswoyo for now. Siswoyo already pulled out over a second now in this lap that he's been in the lead. Ooh, as Siswoyo goes a little bit wide there into turn 1. That allows Maulana to close up a little bit further. And also battle for 6th still going on. I believe battle for 8th. Sorry, this is Farhan and Taruna.
Ruda can't quite get past. He's also missing his front splitter as well, you can see. Obviously he had a couple of incidents earlier on in the race as well. So obviously it seems it's not affecting too much, but there'll certainly be a tiny bit less downforce, as you mentioned earlier. Can he get to the inside for turn number 4 on the brakes, or is he just going to sit behind? No, yeah, he's going to go for a dive on the inside, turn number 4. Tiny bit of contact. Can he make that work? Oh, pushes them both off the track. little bit naughty there from Tarun as he now goes round the outside of turn number 5. Farhan is trying to stay there. It's a little bit hard to stay on the outside of this corner, turn number 6. And Taruna has got that place, although certainly not the cleanest overtake you've ever seen.
Yeah, a lot of contact being made there by those two drivers. Let's see who comes out on top. And they're also still catching up to Hado in front of him. With, I think, only 2 more laps to go. This is gonna get interesting. Siswoyo is coming to the final corner now. With just under 3 minutes on the clock. I think we're surely gonna get another lap after this one.
Yeah, we will get potentially 2 more laps as well. So I think they'll finish this one, then there'll be similar to last race. There'll be about 10 seconds left.
Yep.
So I think it might actually be 2 laps. So it looks like we're going to be getting a 19 lap race here. So once again, hopefully everyone has calculated that, because some tracks such as this, it does get very close. Within 5 or 10 seconds, if you have to do an extra lap or not, depending on the pace of the leaders, because the leaders have obviously been quite quick. It is making it even closer. And let's see how are we doing for the final points position. We now got Ezra Arik down in 15th place, with Akbar just behind him as well. So there's battles all down these points paying positions at the moment. That's certainly not complete, as we have, as we said, 2 laps to go. All battle for the lead. Maulana all over the back of Siswoyo. He is not letting this one go through turn number 10 now. They're getting very close, almost touching each other. Coming into sector 3 now of the lap. Stanley's still very close behind them in case any of these 2 drivers make a mistake. And now out through turn 14. Onto the back straight for what will be the penultimate time. Because I think they're going to just make the line for an extra lap. What can Maulana do now? Coming down the back straight. We've already seen him overtake, but can he do it again into turn number 1 on what will be the final lap of the race? There's going to be about 10 or 15 seconds to go when they cross the line. So we will get an extra lap here. It will be a 19 lap race. What can Maulana do? Getting even closer. Siswoyo is weaving a little bit to try and defend. Maulana's trying to send it down the inside, not quite close enough. His front brakes glowing red. As we now have hit 0 on the timer, which means this is definitely the final lap of the race. And this is the final opportunity for these drivers to make up these positions. As Maulana getting closer and closer. Can he make this work on the final lap? Both running wide through turn number 4, as well as Stanley behind them actually. Look how close he is staying. I think on probably raw speed, Maulana might have actually been the fastest driver today. What Siswoyo is doing his absolute best to try and keep him behind. Look how close he is staying all through these corners. As Siswoyo goes a little bit wide, this could be an opportunity for Maulana coming down towards turn number 9. Both of them once again going all over the curbs on the exit. Can he dive down into turn number 9? This could be an opportunity for the race victory. But no, he couldn't quite get there. He's bumped Siswoyo wide. And he might be taking the lead here, I should say. But Siswoyo is trying to keep down the inside through turn number 10 into turn number 11. Siswoyo side by side on the final lap of the race, pushing each other off once again. But Maulana's keeping his car there now into turn number 12. Maulana gets through into the lead. With only 2 corners to go. Can Siswoyo do anything to come back? He's going to try and send it down the inside. as Marlana is now in the lead. 1 corner to go. Who is going to come out on top? As Siswoyo is now the one getting the slipstream into the final corner. Can he do anything on the brakes? But also, as we said, there's a long run to the line. What is he going to do? Is he going to dive it down, or is he going to try and get the exit? Marlana covers him off on the inside, but he's got a little bit wide. Siswoyo's got it down the inside. Who's going to get the drag race to the line? They're absolutely side by side. Who is it going to be? I think it's just going to be Marlana. To the line. Yes, just Marlana.
Only just. What a finish there by the top 2 drivers, and Marlana taking the win here. Incredible driving. Kenzie and Ahmad also very close still for 5th place. Let's see what they will do. I think it's a similar story here coming into the final corner. Who's going to get the drag race to the line? Kenzie or Ahmad? Here we go. Very, very close. It's very difficult to say. I think it's Rahmat just taking that position in front of Ataya Kenzie. Arwen Taruna in 7th. Tubakos Farhan in 8th. Ronaldo Edo in 9th after that incident earlier on. Just behind Farhan. And Muhammad Andri 10th in 11th. Also still very close with Faiz Rayan and Adianza. And 13th place goes to Reza Haryanto. Then it comes down a little bit more behind that. Gaps growing a little bit further. Indira in 14th. And final point goes to Ezra Arik.
And once again, Michael Christian gets 16th place. So 2 races and no points for him. But what a finish that was. Marlana just getting it at the end there. I mean, it's quite difficult to say from that final lap. It was a bit dirty from both drivers. They were going to the absolute limit, using every centimetre of road and even a bit more than what's possible. Both of them were off track side by side on a few corners, but it certainly gave an entertaining end to the race either way. And Marlana getting a 2nd race victory in a row, which means he's going to be leading Siswoyo by 10 points already, as that is 1/3 of the season done. 2 races down, 4 races to go, and just confirmation of the result of the pro race here at Malaysia. 19 laps completed. Marlana getting the win from Siswoyo. Fres Stanley in 3rd place, Iskander in 4th, Ragmat in 5th, Kenzie in 6th, Taruna 7th, Farhan in 8th, Edo in 9th, and last of the top 10 was Andri. And obviously this was all pending penalties, because the drivers will now have some time where they can potentially submit some incidents to be looked at by the stewards. However, as it stands at the moment, that is obviously the final result. But Felix, what a finish that was. Those two were within 1 second of each other for the whole race, and it ended up being just over 100th of a second between them at the end.
Yeah, crazy finish. And once again, an amazingly action-packed race throughout the entire race. Also in the amateur series, of course, saw some great battles, but what an ending of this race here in the pro category. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, not a bad first 2 races here for the Honda Racing Simulator Championship, brought to you by Honda Prospect Motor and HM Engineering. So yeah, thanks to those guys for hosting this event. And the next race will be next week, the 1st of August. 1 week's time, we'll be at Silverstone for the 3rd race of the season, before the final 3 races at Sao Paulo, Zandvoort and Portugal as well. So that is what we've got looking forward to over the next few weeks throughout July and August. But yeah, I think that pretty much rounds it up for the proceedings here for the 2nd race of the season. So yes, we will see you guys next week for Silverstone, and until then, we wish you a very warm goodbye.